What if I told you that your emotions originate from a place much deeper than your conscious thoughts? Welcome to the world of the emotional brain as theorized by Joseph LeDoux. LeDoux's theory of the emotional brain presents the idea that our basic emotions come from an unconscious level. This theory suggests that while our cognitive processing might play a role, the true origin of emotion is evolutionary. It's a fascinating proposition that our brain can detect danger, for instance, before we even consciously feel fear. This detection mechanism is almost hardwired into our brains. LeDoux contends that our conscious feelings don't have much of a say in how emotion operates within our brains. Essentially, our physiological responses to threats are preset within our brain, and our conscious feelings don't factor into these physical responses. Output. But what happens when the wired emotional responses and learned emotional stimuli don't align? LeDoux explains that conscious emotions are learned through experience, and they aren't innate or hardwired. This understanding explains the emotional malfunctions involved in phobias and post-traumatic stress, as these emotional problems are learned through experience. LeDoux outlines two biological pathways of emotion in the brain. The first is a short route that travels from the sensory thalamus to the amygdala. LeDoux refers to this pathway as hardwired and evolutionary. The second pathway is a longer route that passes through the sensory cortex and hippocampus before it results in an emotional response. LeDoux argues that some emotional feelings are a result of hardwired survival circuits in the short route, while other emotions stem from cognitive processing of the sensory inputs. The route involved depends on the situation at hand. In essence, LeDoux's theory is a blend of the two-factor theory and appraisal theory. It accounts for a more physiological response to emotion via the amygdala or a more cognitive emotional response via the sensory cortex and hippocampus. Compared to previous theories, the theory of the emotional brain leans more towards the evolutionary side of brain physiology but still accommodates both physiology and cognition. LeDoux suggests that emotional feelings come from the cognitive processing of the situation an individual finds themselves in, based on the raw materials provided by neural networks. Survival circuits might be involved for some emotions like fear, but not for others like compassion. In a 2017 paper, LeDoux and Richard Brown shifted their focus from the subcortical circuits involving the amygdala to cortical circuits that might explain higher-order secondary emotions. They aimed to link emotion to states of consciousness. According to them, the subcortical survival circuits do not determine emotional feelings at the cortical level. Instead, the survival circuits provide lower-order, non-conscious inputs, which are processed along with other inputs in the cognitive workspace. In conclusion, LeDoux's theory of the emotional brain offers a unique perspective on emotion, positioning it as a complex interplay between hardwired responses and learned experiences. It provides a framework to understand our emotional responses better and how they impact our lives, from our responses to threats to our feelings of compassion.